Hey guys, Oscar here for notagrouch.com. And instead of being at the park today, I am at home, but today is video number 8. And I want to talk to you about one of the objections I've heard from some people when I ask them, why don't you start a blog, or why don't you start your own business? Obviously, I'm a big proponent of both of those things, and I think most of the time they go together. In today's day and age, 2017, you can start a business online for minimal cost. It would cost you probably over $1 million to start a McDonald's franchise. And you're not going to make that money back for anywhere from 5 to 7 years, maybe longer, depending on tons of factors. And on top of that, on top of spending all that money, you're going to spend all your time running it for the first 5 years. So that's one example of a business. Another example would be to open up your own store and open up a retail front somewhere, a restaurant or a boutique shop, or even a service storefront. Like maybe you're good with computers and you want to open up a service computer repair shop. All that takes a lot of money and a lot of effort, and you need to be able to ride the beginning before you make money. And most businesses that open up in the retail space and brick and mortar space fail within the first year. I don't remember the statistics exactly, but I believe only about 5% make it past their 5th year. So it's a pretty big failure rate, and that's what I want to talk to you about next. One of the big reasons that people don't start a business or a blog is because they fear they're going to fail. And this may be you feeling, maybe you're feeling the same way. And what I have to tell you about failure is basically, failure is an indicator that you're trying. Failure is an indicator that you're putting yourself out there and trying something new that you're not that good at yet. Nobody is born perfect at anything. Take for example, the greatest basketball player, Michael Jordan. He missed a lot of shots. I talk about him on my ebook, and he's often used as a motivational person because he's become so successful. And even now, 20 years after he retired, 15 years, whatever it is after he retired, he still makes tens of millions of dollars per year from endorsements and appearances and stuff, because he was such a good top performer. But it took years and years and years and hundreds of thousands of practice shots to be able to make those buzzer beater shots. And he missed a lot. If you go back and look at shots that he missed for the winning game, there's a lot of them. And he has there was a commercial by Nike, I believe, in the 90s, where he's walking around in a big coat and talking about all the failures that he's had, but in the end he succeeds. And so I want you to not be afraid of failure. I want you to actually embrace failure. Failure should be a step in the process towards success. We are conditioned to be ashamed and feel badly about failing at something, and many times we are, whether it's somebody else or our own internal feelings, we end up feeling like a failure is final, and it's not. A failure should be something that you go through, not on purpose. You shouldn't try to fail, but you should try to accomplish something and know that you may not do it right away. But this is what happens when you fail. You have to take that lesson, that entire process that you did up to the failure, and learn from it. So for example, if you were to launch a blog, as I suggest you do, and you start writing and you write 2 articles, 3 articles, 10 articles, and then you wonder, why is nobody reading my blog? You may feel like that's a failure. But it's not. It's just you haven't found the audience that needs to read your blog, or you haven't promoted it the right way. So you take a lesson from that, and then you correct it so that the next 10 blog posts that you write, you change your process so that you can overcome that so-called failure. The same thing happens with businesses. Every successful business person tried a lot of different things before they succeeded, before they broke through. And sometimes you and I will watch something on TV or hear in the radio, read on a magazine, hear from somebody else, and we hear about this guy that, wow, he's in the news, he's all over the place, he's crushing it, he's got a new app or a new business or something, and he's making millions of dollars. And you think, wow, this guy's an overnight success. What you don't realize is that overnight is just a perception of you because you didn't know anything about him prior to that first encounter. And you think, well, if I didn't know anything about it, nobody else knew about it. And by definition, he must have just started last month or last week. And so he just hit the big leagues. He got lucky. This happens a lot with artists. When you've never heard of a band and all of a sudden you see them in a concert or you see a video of a concert and there's an arena filled with 100,000 people. And you wonder, wow, these people just came out of nowhere. And then by something else called the Bainer-Madoff effect. I always butcher that word, but I'll link about it in the description. I blogged about it before. But by that effect, you start noticing them more. So if you first hear about this band or a business person or a success story, it could be a brand, a company, an individual, an artist, it doesn't matter. When you first hear about them, you think, wow, they're a success. They are an overnight success. This effect that I'm talking about will make you start noticing them again, like tomorrow and then the next week. And then you're going to start seeing their name come up in newspapers or magazines. Maybe your friends are going to be posting on social media, things like that. It's not that it wasn't happening before. It's just that your perception of things wasn't picking up on that until you got a little bit more acquainted with it. And then if you go back and look at the history of this person or success or brand, you'll find that it's not an overnight success. This person has been working their butts off for the past 5, 6, 7, 10 years, 20 years. But it's just now that you notice them. And it's easy to say, oh, well, they got lucky. They're an overnight success. Oh, well, they have all this money from a previous company they sold. And so that's how they were able to start a new company and get all this promotion and get on TV and radio shows. But sometimes we fail to look at how they started that first company to get money in the first place. And then even before that, to look at how they were able to accomplish certain things to get them to the point where they are today. And some of those things that we fear internally are just that. It's just our perception of what can or cannot be done. There's, some people will say, well, you can do anything, you can be anything you want. And that's partially true. A lot of it is just motivational. But if you set your mind to it, if you think about what you want to do and you create an environment where that can happen. So if you believe what you want, if you believe it's possible and you work towards it and you do the right steps, you will achieve that, even if you stumble along the way. So I want you to not be afraid of starting your blog or a business. Get the right tools on your hands. Get the right tools and start. Those are the most important parts of the process, is having something to start and actually starting and following through with that. I've been blogging about that. I talked about it in a previous video. And if you're afraid of failing, don't be afraid. You have to think about it differently. Think about it as a lesson learned. You can't let it go to waste. So you can't fail and then tomorrow you start over and do the exact same thing. When you don't accomplish the goal that you wanted in the time frame that you wanted, or you don't get the results you expected, you may consider yourself a failure. But learn from that. Learn and think about, what is it that went wrong or wasn't done properly so that I could get the results I was expecting, and change that part. Focus on that and change it so that it helps you achieve that success. And it's like a machine that has several dials and levers and adjustments. You have to keep tweaking about it until you get the right results. There's no formula for success. There's no secret. When people say secrets, it's just something that people fail to notice. So, even in a previous video, I told you I was going to tell you a secret. And it wasn't a secret. There's no hidden book of secrets or anything. It's just you may not be aware of it. And people sometimes don't tell you about it. But the fact is, you have to start, you have to follow through. And when you stumble, when you fail at something, you have to shake it off, get up again, and try again. Keep going towards that goal that's in your mind, because if you stop, that's the real failure. If you give up, that's the real failure. There are points where you may feel like you have to give up and switch directions. That's okay. That's called pivoting. You're simply switching around because part of the failure is discovering what doesn't work. And maybe the path that you were going in is not the right path, and you need to switch courses just a little bit in order to reach the goal. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means that you are making smart decisions towards switching that. So that's the video for today. I hope that you enjoy. I hope that you took something out of it. And again, I invite you to go to my email list and subscribe. I've given some incredible offers. One about starting a blog, and today I will be sending out an email on how to get the best training that you can find to start a business online for affiliate marketing and high ticket marketing, so that you get paid a really good amount of money as opposed to small commissions and stuff like that. So it's easy to learn. Anybody can do it. I've taught this to 72-year-old man, 60-some-year-old grandma from Florida, people straight out of college at 18, 19 years old, and all in between. And they have all been able to succeed by following steps, by learning about it. So if you want to learn more about that, you can either go to my blog and read about it. I talk about it in several posts, or make sure that you are subscribed to my email list. I will send you my book. I have an ebook that tells you how to start a business, what are some of the options that you have, and I'll also tell you about the blog offer and how to get the training that I'm talking about. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.